Grip socks are great, but why pay up to $40 for a single pair when you can pay a lot less? Stop wasting money and get yours for just $14.99 a pair at puregripsocks.com.
Now, over the last year and a half, Puma as a brand has been on fire. Not only are they producing top quality football boots that perform to the highest standards, but they're offering these products at prices that are lower than all of the other major brands. If Puma has not been on your radar, they should be. And with their latest release, not only do they continue to improve, but I think they're now proving that while they might be the third place brand in terms of overall popularity, they might be number one when it comes to performance, and certainly when it comes to value for money. Ladies and gentlemen, the brand new Puma Ultra 1.3, an evolution of what we saw from the incredible Ultra 1.1 and 1.2 that utilizes a completely new upper, the same speed unit outsole, reduced weight somehow, and overall better performance, all for the same $200 retail price, which, by the way, is $50 less expensive than its main competition in the Adidas X Speedflow 0.1 and Nike Mercurial Vapor 14 Elite. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that $200 for a pair of football boots is cheap, but these being $50 less expensive than their main competition is definitely significant. So what I want to do in today's video is, of course, go over all the tech specs, take a look at how they fit and feel on feet, how they compare and how they differ from the Ultra models that they replace, and of course, talk about what the main differences are between this Puma Ultra and its main competitors in the X Speedflow and Mercurial series, ultimately helping you decide whether or not those more popular options are worth the extra $50, or if you'd be better off saving the money and ultimately ending up with a better overall product. So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around, watch the entire review. And if you are interested in a pair of Ultra 1.3s for yourself, below their normal retail price by way of some exclusive SR4U coupon codes, be sure to check out that first link down below. As always, if you guys do end up enjoying the video and perhaps want to see some direct comparisons with the Ultra 1.3, maybe even some takedown models from the new Puma Ultra lineup, please don't forget to support this one with a like. And also, guys, we just passed 700,000 subscribers on the channel. Thank you so much for that. But I'd love to keep that momentum going. So for those of you that watch the content, enjoy the videos, but maybe aren't subscribed to the channel, it would mean the world to me if you could hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. So first things first, the upper, which of course is the major change coming from the original variants of the Puma Ultra. And you'll notice here on the medial side where you have your list of tech specs, it still says Matrix Evo technology, which is technically the same thing, but in reality, this upper feels completely different. Whether or not it's improved, I think is a matter of personal preference, because if you like that slightly softer, more sock-like sensation, that slight bit of padding, you're probably going to prefer the original Ultra. But if you want something that's thinner, more raw, more of a true barefoot sensation, this new take on Matrix Evo is extremely impressive. And if you look closely, you can definitely see there's still a knitted or textile component to this upper, where it's very dense, or at least solid, through the forefoot and toe box area, but then thins out quite significantly through the midfoot, where it's basically translucent, and then of course gets a little bit more dense again as you get to the back of the heel. But then internally, something that is different from the previous Ultra, which had a solid liner, this has a speed cage liner with little cutouts that allow you to actually see the translucent aspect of the upper while also maintaining weight, and of course giving you the necessary structure to a material that is so thin that it's see-through. Here's the thing, you can actually see the grid pattern to the Matrix Evo material itself, which is a combination of different types of yarns. And then if you look even more closely, and I'm not sure this is going to come up on video very well, the translucent parts even have this slight knit to it. So it is actually a translucent yarn that they're using here rather than just straight up plastic, although there is a fuse overlay material that runs all the way through the upper. That's called Grip Control Pro, just like the previous model, although now it covers absolutely everything. And the end result is a material that is remarkably thin, offers no padding whatsoever, so should you get stepped on, prepare for it to hurt. There's really no protection from this football boot at all, but in terms of giving you that true barefoot sensation, I would say this does that better than any of your speed boot alternatives, not just from Nike and Adidas, but any other brand, period. It's really, really impressive what they've done with this upper. And again, while it still bears the Matrix Evo name, it is completely different from a feel perspective versus what we had from the previous generation Ultra. Another huge change that they've made actually has to do with the shape of the football boot, which you can see from the side profile if you're familiar with the original Ultra. They've significantly reduced the volume through the midfoot as well as the forefoot toe box area, and even have slimmed out the midfoot ever so slightly, where it just hugs your foot significantly closer than the previous Ultra without feeling too tight. This is by no means a narrow fitting football boot, and overall I would actually go as far as to say that this has a little bit more width to it than what you're going to find from certainly the Mercurial and even the X Speedflow, where the upper as a whole does still maintain a structured sensation to where you get that snug fit, you maintain a really high level of comfort, but then the boot also feels incredibly responsive and not to mention ridiculously lightweight. This is the lightest speed boot on the market right now by quite a large margin, which we'll take a look at in just a second. Nonetheless, I'm just incredibly impressed with how well this boot fits, how comfortable it is considering how thin and light it is, and of course that incredible premium barefoot touch on the ball that's super consistent because of that one-piece design. Like I mentioned earlier, the upper is finished in what Puma calls Grip Control Pro, which was featured on spots of the previous Ultra, but now covers pretty much the entire upper aside from the lacing area on this new Ultra 1.3, and it provides a surprising amount of extra grip on the ball without being overly sticky. There's also some minor texture from the Matrix Evo upper itself, but again, if we're comparing this to the Mercurials or any of the X Speedflow models, this provides a little bit of additional grip that those boots simply do not. The upper also maintains a one-piece construction where the laces run directly down the middle, utilize a dual lace hole setup, and then you have what I think is a much cleaner execution of a knitted material that's fully elasticated running through the midfoot that, again, because of the lower volume shape that they've gone for here, it just wraps across the top of your foot really snug, giving you that seamless sensation when you slide the boots on. Of course, the boot does maintain a low cut construction, which I still think is the best way of doing a speed boot in the name of making them as light as possible. Less material will always be lighter than more material. And then the heel liner remains pretty much identical. It's a synthetic suede material with minimal padding, but they got the shape just right to where the boot does feel, again, remarkably comfortable considering how thin and light it is. And then the insole is something that I'm also a big fan of. Nothing's really changed from the previous model, but you can see it features their nano grip lining material, which has this kind of soft silicone texture to it that does grip your socks really nicely. And then it's made from a single layer of this white foam, so nothing too fancy, but it gets the job done. Moving to the base of the boot, you're going to find the one element that does carry over from the previous Puma Ultra that nobody should be upset about, because this Soleplate end stud pattern is awesome. It's their speed unit, as it's called. It does still feature the external heel counter and is made from a material called PBA, which is actually Pebax without the X, because Puma doesn't want to pay the licensing fee to Pebax to use their branding. Nonetheless, for those that don't know kind of technical plastic materials, it's a high quality plastic. That's really all that you need to know that's important, and it still features the same ribbing through the midfoot and heel, providing good amount of stiffness, but then through the forefoot you still get nice flexibility without being kind of overly stiff. I would say in comparison to both the X Speedflow as well as the Mercurial, this Soleplate feels a little bit softer, a little bit more fluid, a little bit more flexible, not necessarily as responsive in terms of that kind of spring back effect. So if that's something that you really like, I think maybe the X Speedflow does that better than anything else out there. But in general, I feel like the Soleplate still feels really solid underneath your feet and has a nice natural sensation to it because of the more flexible feel versus its competitors. As far as the stud pattern is concerned, this is what they are branding as FGAG, although I really do feel like these aggressive bladed chevron studs are not exactly artificial grass friendly. I think they're a little bit too long and certainly too clingy to the point where it's borderline unsafe to wear. Not saying that you couldn't wear them, but I really feel like this is a stud pattern that is best suited for use on natural grass, and on a surface like that, it is as aggressive as just about everything, probably the second closest to the Mercurial in terms of the amount of bite you get when pushing off. I mean, look, it's the best comparison you can make. I think the Mercurial has been the gold standard as far as speed boot stud patterns go, and this comes pretty much as close as possible. Which brings us to the weight where Puma really separate themselves from the pack when you're talking about their main speed boot competitors. I'm gonna weigh the Ultra 1.3 for you, but I'm gonna weigh it side by side with the Mercurial Vapor 14 Elite, which is arguably the most popular top-end speed boot currently available. In a size 9.5 US, you can see that the Vapor 14 weighs in at 7.2 ounces, the equivalent of 204 grams, which is a very lightweight football boot. Change the scale back to ounces, and we'll throw on the Ultra 1.3, also in a size 9.5 US, and you can see that they weigh in at 5.85 ounces, the equivalent of 166 grams. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a gigantic difference in weight between these two boots that you will definitely notice both in hand as well as on feet. And honestly, if you're just looking for the lightest possible experience from a pair of football boots, look no further than the Ultra 1.3. And I think what's even more impressive is, as light as they are, they're also really comfortable. So here they are on feet, and I must say, while it has nothing to do with the performance, I love the look of the new Ultra. I think it's a gigantic improvement over the previous model, which did have some great colorways, but I think the simplicity of this one is something a lot of people will appreciate, and they look extra good when paired up with some royal blue Pure Grip Socks Pro, which, for those that don't know, is my own brand of grip socks. This new Pro variation features an upgraded material that is super soft and super stretchy, with of course the grips along the bottom as well as the back of the heel to stop you from sliding around in your boots. They're available now in a wide variety of colors for the super affordable price of just $16.99 a pair. If you're interested in trying some out for yourself, the website to visit is puregripsocks.com, which of course will be linked down below. Now, as far as fit and feel is concerned, I'll admit that I don't think the Ultra 1.3 is as comfortable as the Ultra 1.1 or 1.2 in the traditional sense. And what I mean by that is this Matrix Evo upper does not have the same softness as the more kind of sock-like material that we had on the previous generation, or at least the padded liner that boot had through the forefoot and toe box area. So in that regard, this model does feel a little bit more plasticky and a little bit stiffer on your foot, but I think the overall shape and the slight bit of stretch you get across the top of the foot because of that knitted material really does make this way more comfortable than I was expecting it to feel, and I would say arguably the most comfortable out of all of the synthetic options in the speed boot category right now, because I really wouldn't classify this as a knitted upper from a feel perspective. It's thin, it's raw, there's no padding whatsoever, but the boots as a whole still feel really comfortable and fit that little bit more snug than the previous Ultra, which I think is an issue that a lot of people, including myself, had with that particular model. As far as width is concerned, even though they have slimmed out the shoe quite significantly, it still offers decent width and I think is going to be suitable for most foot types. If you have really, really wide feet, I would say in general the speed boot category might not be the best option, but I still feel like this is one of those boots that will fit just about everybody. And then as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you're looking to order a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So in conclusion, the Ultra 1.3 is an incredible pair of football boots, and I think Puma deserves all the credit in the world in taking an already football boot in the OG Ultra and improving it as much as they have. I was not expecting these to be that much better than what we had before. Not to say that the previous Ultra is bad in comparison to these, but here's the thing. The X Speedflow from Adidas and the Nike Mercurial series are also excellent options in the speed boot category. So of course the question is, should you buy the Puma Ultra over the competitors from, of course, the big two? And here's where I'm going to be both brutally honest as well as give a bit of a cop-out answer in saying that whether you go for the Ultra, the Mercurials, or the Speedflows, there's really no bad choice. This is as competitive as I think we've ever seen the speed boot category be. But When you're talking about purely value for money, there's no denying that what you get for $200 in these versus $250 to $275 in both the Mercurials and the Speed Flows, depending on which option you go for, you are not getting $50 to $75 more football boot. This is the lightest of the bunch by far, and I think that makes for a gigantic aspect of the experience in a pair of speed boots, where these just being significantly lighter is going to make it the best option for a lot of people. The lockdown, the responsiveness, I think is as good. You could make an argument that it's number one in that category as well. The traction is incredible. The comfort, considering how thin and light they are, is top notch. And of course, the barefoot sensation on offer from this Matrix Evo Upper is arguably best in class as well. So not only is it competing with Nike and Adidas in all of those main categories, it's beating them in most of them for $50 less money. So in general, is the Ultra 1.3 the best speed boot out there right now? Depending on what you're looking for, yes it is. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in a pair of Ultra 1.3s for yourself, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. You'll be able to pick them up below their normal retail price with some SR4U coupon codes. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to leave them down below in the comment section, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you. If you aren't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. You can find all my social media information, linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.